The title of this talk is Professional Animal Communication, Past, Present, and Future. I'm Dr. Cara Gubbins, Professional Animal Communicator, and I am honored to be sharing this perspective with you. Intuitive interspecies communication, or animal communication, is emergent from who we are as human beings. It's a universal ability that is as old as humanity itself. IIC, or Intuitive Animal Communication, has remained accessible for many Indigenous peoples, but it was mostly lost to Western societies through our relatively recent history of industrialization. Today, we face a global pandemic, the loss of species at an alarming rate, and a precarious future on planet Earth. It's becoming increasingly clear that humans must adjust their relationships with themselves, animals, and the land and water and air that sustains us all. Perhaps as an answer to this global crisis, IIC, or Intuitive Animal Communication, is enjoying a renaissance in modern times. Professional and amateur animal communicators are communicating with animals in every country on the planet. Thousands more are joining their ranks every day as successful professionals, and they are spending more time teaching their techniques to others. After decades in the shadows, today professional animal communicators are experiencing exponential growth in our field. So I want to share with you my perspective on where we've been as professional animal communicators, where we're going as a professional field, and why it matters. Because I want by the end of this presentation for you to be able to see the big picture as well as identify your personal role in the future of intuitive animal communication. In case you don't know me, my name is Dr. Cara Gubbins. I'm a professional animal communicator and the best-selling author of over a dozen books, including The Confident Animal Communicator and Animal Chakras. I am the founder of the Animal Communicator Academy and the founding president of IPACA, the International Professional Animal Communicators Association. I reside in the United States, but I really see my mission as wanting to help all animal lovers become confident animal communicators so they can help their pets or become a professional animal communicator or add animal communication to their current profession or bring it to the world of shelters or rescues or conservation biology. My vision is to have an animal communicator in every home, in every veterinarian's office, in every animal rescue center and shelter, for animals to have an animal communicator represent their message, their wants, their needs in every place where their beingness is affected by human activities. I want them to have a place at the table in any area that would affect them, such as conservation or land management issues or waterway laws, whatever it is. Animal communicators can help and can represent the messages of the animals in all these different situations. So let's look at where the field came from. In modern times, the first wave, what I call the first wave, is the leaders from the past. So this is in the 1970s to the turn of the century at 2000. The way showers, the first wave of professional animal communicators, they showed us what's possible, that animal communication, intuitive animal communication exists, and it's real, and it's helpful, and it's effective. These were the first professional animal communicators in Western societies, and they were mostly self-taught. And gradually, as they grew in their abilities and their confidence and their businesses, they also started teaching small groups. But in those first 3 decades of the professional field, animal communicators were localized, and technology was not connecting us the way that it is now with the internet and Zoom videos and all of the things that we have to connect us, even when we're geographically far apart. So, animal communication was a very localized phenomenon, and the animal communicators practicing, for the most part, were very isolated and independent. The sessions themselves were done mostly in person or maybe on the phone. And the field grew slowly because technology just wasn't there and the word wasn't there. It was a very slow growth period in the field. So I'm kind of curious. I want you to think about, when were you first aware of intuitive animal communication? Was it during this early phase in the 1970s to 2000, or was it more recently than that? I think that many people might have had a vague awareness if they were around at the time, but it was not commonly known. So the next phase, that what I call the second wave of professional animal communicators, happened during around 2000 to 2020. So 2 decades, the first 2 decades of the new millennium. And these animal communicators I call the innovators. So animal communication, because of technology, started to go global. But it was mostly still localized and independent and small at that time, between 2000 and 2020. So it's what I call convergent evolution. Animal communicators from many different backgrounds found themselves drawn to animal communication. These innovators came from many different fields in many different training regimes and professions. So these animal communicators came from the world of science, the world of medicine, the world of veterinary medicine. They came from counseling. They came from the arts. They were writers. They were counselors. They were psychologists. They were all these personal growth areas as well. So it was a very diverse group, and the field started growing much more quickly. Of course, technology helped that. The internet started connecting us in ways we hadn't been connected before. And many animal communicators during this time started also working online, which helped animal communication grow and connect with more people around the world. During this phase, the innovative phase, the second wave, animal communication was becoming more and more accepted and more mainstream, simply because more people were involved. More animal communicators were doing the work and talking about it, and they were effective. The animal communication sessions were working. They were helping people and helping animals with common problems and challenges that were important in their daily lives. And so, by word of mouth or by presence on the internet, all of these animal communicators that were working at the time started to see a big increase in business. And at the time, and currently, animal communication was used for addressing pet behavioral issues, pet aging, end of a pet's life, pet mediumship, connecting with the spirit of the pet after they had passed from physical life. Animal communication also started making its way into the offices of veterinarians. And domestic animals started getting animal communication sessions, especially horses. Animal communication was very, very popular and continues to be with people who have horses. Also, folks in animal rescues and sanctuaries started using animal communication to help their animals adjust or get ready for transportation or movement or new things, and just to help make their lives better. And in recent years, animal communication has also been used in conservation in a lot of places around the world. Animal communicators have been called in to help resolve conflicts between humans and wildlife at the edge of the animal's natural habitats, where development is encroaching, where people are living and there's limited resources or limited range for the animals, and really working to help resolve these situations and create better conditions that honor the people and the animals. So during this second wave, these innovators were using animal communication in all these different ways for pets in our families, for domestic animals, for wild animals, for rescues, for sanctuaries. There was really no limit to how we can use animal communication to help animals in whatever situations they find themselves in. During this time, there was also a proliferation of resources, especially online. So we're talking about websites. So many books were written during these 20 years as well. YouTube videos became very popular. Podcasts became popular. Classes moved from in-person to online, and in-person classes also continued. We started having global summits. For example, I hosted for 7 or 8 years the Animal Communicator and Healer Summit, which drew tens of thousands of viewers from 70 different countries and every continent in the world except for Antarctica. So animal communication was growing exponentially, and our technology helped us connect, help us see that we're not alone, helped us see that we have resources and allies and friends and colleagues that we can connect with. Also, during this time, academia discovered animal communication, and scholars started doing research on documenting the phenomenon of the growth of the field of animal communication. So they also identified factors that were influencing the spread of animal communication by recognizing the key ingredients for each individual to become an animal communicator. What are the commonalities between the stories and the paths of successful animal communicators? And so this was a very rich time in the field of animal communication. However, with that exponential growth came a lot of problems as well, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But the challenges were that animal communication grew so fast and spread so far that there was no governing body, there were no guidelines, there were no boundaries, there were no limitations. And so what we started seeing in our field was a lot of people who were not trained, who were not ethical, who did not have integrity, who did not know what they were doing and what it takes to be a really good, ethical, helpful animal communicator. And so during this time, the flip side of all the great growth was that it also brought people in who were taking advantage of the kind of unbridled growth and no oversight for the field of animal communication, and no way of knowing for the public, who was a good animal communicator and who was not, what training was necessary, what does it take, how can they find an animal communicator that's good? And so a lot of people got duped into working with people who identified themselves as professional animal communicators who did not have the skills or the training or the ethics or the integrity that this field demands for it to be effective and good, just good. So that was the phase of those 2 decades between 2000 and 2020. So looking forward into the future beyond 2020 or so is what I call the third wave or the groundswell. And what we've seen, here we are in 2025. So what we've seen over the last 5 years is this third wave where animal communication, IIC, is becoming so accessible. And there are so many ways for professional animal communicators and animal communication teachers to reach out and bring the really good work to the people. So this is what I call the groundswell, where it's really spreading out in an organic way with the hearts and minds of people and animals everywhere. So we are seeing, and I hope we will continue to see moving forward into the future, more professional animal communicators who are trained and who follow codes of ethics and have integrity and take the time to get the training, not just in the animal communication skills that they need, but also in the mindset skills, so they can have the personal growth that is necessary to be a clear channel for the animals and to be an advocate for the animals and to be an advocate for the truth and for helping animals and people without bias, without attachment to outcome, without a hidden agenda, and without the primary goal of making money from other people's suffering, which is a big challenge that we've been seeing lately in the field. So going forward, my vision for the field of professional animal communication is to have a professional animal communicator in every town in the world, in every humane society, every veterinarian's office, every rescue organization, every rehabilitation center, every animal sanctuary, every family. Having that deep connection with animals is so important for us all to have the lives that we want for ourselves and the best lives that we can help create for the animals in our families or the animals under our care in any way. The other thing that I see coming on the horizon, and it's already started, and I really hope that it will continue to grow, is involving animal communicators in conservation. So animal communicators can negotiate between humans and animals for mutually beneficial solutions to such really big issues as habitat encroachment and interaction challenges. Think of baboons in South Africa and elephants in a lot of parts of Africa and India. There are so many challenges with sharing the habitat with these animals, and they can be addressed and resolved. There's currently research going on, conservation work, in Europe with seals and the conservation that they need and involving them in the conversation. There's also a conservation mediator in Canada who is using a renowned animal communicator to give the animals a voice at the table where conservation issues are being discussed and conservation decisions are being made. So we're seeing the beginning of this gradually in a few places. And I think in the future, this will continue to grow. So we'll see animal communicators in more places, that they will partner with other animal professionals, and that they will also be engaged in conservation issues and discussions and decisions so that animals have a voice in anything that affects them. The other area that's growing, and I see really a lot of potential for even more growth in the future, is research and science. So currently in 2025, there are several research programs at esteemed universities around the world where graduate students and senior faculty are really studying the phenomenon of animal communication, the impact, the ways that it can be used to help animals and people. So there are research programs in Canada, in Slovakia, in Belgium, in the United States. There are research projects going on currently. And it's a great way to strengthen our profession, to understand it better, to bring legitimacy and gravitas to our field, to really validate that this field of intuitive animal communication is real, it's repeatable, it's reliable, and it's effective. And so it's worth looking into. So I'm super excited about all the research and all the science that is happening and that will continue to happen, and that I think it will continue to grow, because this is a field in academic research that is growing and really receiving a lot of attention and a lot of financial support at this time. So as animal communicators, I say, let's go. It's good for everybody. Let's collaborate and continue to really document and describe what animal communication is and isn't, and what's possible with animal communication and how it works. We are still in the very beginnings of this field in terms of understanding how it works and why it works and what it takes for it to work. And so I think that all of the research and science will contribute to a greater understanding and a strengthening of the field of animal communication. The other area that I see changing in the future in terms of intuitive animal communication is around our mindset. There's a paradigm shift that's currently happening where people are really opening up, again, because we are in such dire circumstances globally. We need to be open to more opportunities and more options than we have in the past. Our past mindset has gotten us into this very difficult situation. And humans are dependent on Earth's ability to sustain life. That's just basic. That ability of the Earth to sustain life is being threatened by outdated practices based on the misbelief of the superiority of humans over animals and over the environment. With animal communication, there's a paradigm shift that happens within each individual who discovers their innate ability to communicate intuitively with animals and other non-human beings. Every animal communicator who goes through the process of discovering this ability and honing this ability sees herself, sees her world, and sees her role in the world differently. Learning animal communication causes a paradigm shift. It causes a mindset shift. Animal communicators see themselves as an integral part of the fabric of all life on Earth, not separate from, not having dominion over, not harvesting for personal gain or greed or profit, but interwoven with the fabric of all life on Earth, with all species, all aspects of life, not just animals, but also plants and ecosystems, environments. And when this paradigm shift happens to enough individuals, this will lead to social changes in local, state, national, and international policies and laws. And that's what we need to make significant change in the world. This paradigm shift is what we need to make this time in our history a pivot point. where the scales start to shift in the direction of healing ourselves, our lifestyles, our ecosystems, our planet, and all of its inhabitants. This is what the Earth, our planet, is asking for us to do. This paradigm shift is paramount, whether it comes from becoming an animal communicator or another way. I just think becoming an animal communicator is the fastest, funnest, easiest way for this paradigm shift to happen. But this is what we need. We need to take our power in this moment and make this time the time that we'll look back and go, that's where we turned. That's where things changed. And one of the big contributors to that was so many people saying yes to becoming an intuitive animal communicator, an intuitive interspecies communicator, which includes communication with all of life, which includes communication with plants, with trees, with resources, with habitats, with environments, with ecosystems. All of that becomes available. It's all the same skill set. It's all the same process. So as we embrace our innate human ability to connect and communicate intuitively with all the other beings that we share the planet with, we will be healing ourselves. We will be healing our ecosystems. We'll be healing our relationships. We'll be healing our planet. In conclusion, I want to say that just by being here, I know that you are part of the solution. And I want to invite you to ask yourself, what can I do? Not from a point of, I'm so small, what can little old me do? But from a position of, what can I do? What can I do? And I want, as you ponder this question, I want to offer a perspective for you to consider. Whatever is calling to you right now is what you can do. It doesn't have to be big or dramatic. Just identify one step that you can take today, and then take that step. If we each do that, we just might change our future and save our planet and save ourselves and the animals and the habitats and the ecosystems that we love so much. I want to thank you for joining this event, and I want to thank Ricardo Gare for inviting me to be a presenter here. And I wish all of you a wonderful event and a very eye-opening, paradigm-shifting event. If you would like to stay in contact with me or take next steps with me, I have a couple of options. One is my animal communicator type quiz. I've identified 5 different types of animal communicators. And when you take this quiz, you can identify your type and receive a 19-page guidebook explaining the strengths and challenges of your type and outlining ways to strengthen your natural ability. This is available on my website at caragubbins.com/quiz. Also, I would love to have you join me in the Animal Communicator Academy so that I can be your mentor as you become a confident animal communicator. And you can get more information about the Animal Communicator Academy at caragubbins.com/ACA. Thank you for loving animals the way that you do, and thank you for being part of the change that we all need to see. I wish you all the best.